do you expect to see? Anything new when the documents are released?
Well, I'm hopeful that they'll actually show that there was a cover up, that there was a conspiracy, and that the CIA knew about Oswald, that the government knew about the conspiracy between the mafia, possibly Fidel Castro, possibly Khrushchev, and they'll show everything that they can do to show that there was definitely a conspiracy and that Oswald was not the sole person in charge of this orchestration of the assassination of JFK.
So, and forgive me if I have my dates wrong, but I believe it was your dad who came out in '94, talking about a conversation that he had with Santo Trafficante, driving down Bayshore in 1987, 4 days before Santo passed away.
Correct.
In which Santo said what?
We'll call that one the deathbed confession because he knew he was dying. He had kidney failure, and they were speaking in Sicilian to each other because that's how they communicated in case there was anyone bugging the car or if anyone was eavesdropping. And so in Sicilian, he called my father Chi. Chi is like an affectionate term, like bro or man or something like that. So he said, Chi, we effed up. We should have killed Bobby instead of John, Jack Kennedy. But he said it in Sicilian, meaning that they should have assassinated Bobby Kennedy, who was giving them all the problems associated with the Get Hoffa squad, the organized crime, and he was just relentless against the mob. So that's really what he said in his ultimate last sort of confession of what they should have done.
Bobby was a young man, but he was the Attorney General for the United States.
That's right. That's right.
He was making life difficult for Mr. Trafficante.
Very much so. And all his friends up north. And don't forget that Bobby Kennedy deported Carlos Marchello to Guatemala. That infuriated Carlos Marchello. So Carlos Marchello, who was very close with Santo Trafficante, was really sort of the main instigator. You have all three parties, Carlos Marchello, Santo Trafficante, and then you have Jimmy Hoffa, and then you have the Get Hoffa squad, which Bobby Kennedy was in charge of to take down Jimmy Hoffa. He was obsessed with taking down Jimmy Hoffa. I mean, they lived it, they breathed it night and day. And my father often told me that when he was working in Washington, D.C. with Jimmy Hoffa, if he could see the lights on at the Justice Department, Jimmy Hoffa wouldn't let anyone leave. Until the lights went off, then that's when they went home.
So weave the web for me, if you will, because it's a little complicated, between Carlos Marcelo, Santo Trafficante, Fidel Castro, and Nikita Khrushchev.
That's right.
How does that fit?
That is the ultimate question, isn't it? You've got to understand that back in the 50s and in the early 60s, J. Edgar Hoover was on record saying that the mafia did not exist. Public record, didn't exist. No way, it didn't exist. So for the public to know that an organized crime association existed would cause mayhem to the general public. So the Kennedy administration with the Bay of Pigs was a complete fiasco. Fidel Castro was infuriated that the imperialists would try to take down his country. Then you have the Kennedy administration dealing with the Cuba Missile Crisis and somehow trying to put the imperialists putting their leg down against Khrushchev, and how dare you try to come and put nuclear weapons in Cuba, yet at the same time we have nuclear weapons in Turkey pointing at Russia. So that infuriated Khrushchev. And then you have organized crime sort of hovering in the background, thinking about how that Sam Giancana was ultimately responsible with Joe Kennedy Sr. of getting John Kennedy elected. And then once John Kennedy gets elected, he turns his brother and unleashes him on organized crime. He was on record over and over and over. His number one priority was to wipe out organized crime, the mafia, the mob. So you have all three components working together: the mafia, Fidel Castro, and Khrushchev. all have the means, the motive, and the opportunity to assassinate Kennedy. So the only way that you could do that, and the CIA, in fact, was trying to assassinate Fidel Castro with the mob's help. Who did the CIA go to? They went to the mob. They went to the mafia, went to Santo Trafficante, because he's the one who could get someone close to Fidel without being killed. So we have their own CIA, which are going to be in the records, showing how they tried to eliminate Fidel Castro with the mob's help. And so you have the mafia in the background organizing, orchestrating all of the players. Carlos Marchello was the one that detested the Kennedys the most. He's the one who really was the catalyst to create the idea of it. Jack Ruby, who assassinated and killed and silenced Oswald, worked for Carlos Marchello. Santo Trafficante could be the one who could get the players in. He could get anyone from Cuba. He can get the Russians. He can get anyone to be sort of the extra marksmen or the extra shooters at the grassy knoll behind the wall. And there were many witnesses that said that they heard extra shots. They saw smoke behind the wall. They saw the front shot to the head where it explodes out the back. How can Oswald pull off this kind of crime in seconds? So all of them had the means, the motives, and the opportunity to do it. Professor Blakey, who was on the House Select Committee for the assassinations, the actual report, he's the one who actually authored the JFK Records Act, which is going to disclose all these records after 25 years. He is the one who authored it. He's the one, the most prominent figure, the most vocal figure that agreed with my father that it was Jimmy Hoffa, Carlos Marchello, Santo Trafficante had the means, the motive, and the opportunity to assassinate the President of the United States.
Well, there's a lot for me to ask there based on that. Was this do you think, if you go along with this theory, is it because the Kennedys opted to get a close relationship with very, very dangerous people to obtain their goals and then turned on them?
Most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, they felt betrayed. The mob felt betrayed. How dare you have your brother, Bobby Kennedy, and they called him Booby. They called him Booby Kennedy. How dare you have him go after organized crime? They felt completely betrayed, that they swayed the vote in Chicago, at Sam Giancana's persuasion, and then now suddenly you appoint this guy and he's going to come in and destroy organized crime. They had it good. And so all of a sudden now that his number one target's organized crime, yeah, of course they felt betrayed, no doubt.